Welcome to the Explainer. So, you're thinking about getting a Shadeport in Johannesburg, and you're probably wondering, how much should it really cost? Well, in this Explainer, we're going to cut right through the guesswork and break down the exact numbers for you, from the basic models all the way up to premium installations.
All right, let's just get right to it, shall we? This is the big question, the one everyone wants an answer to. And the truth is, it's not just one single number, but it is a pretty clear range.
So, if you're getting a Shadeport professionally installed in Joburg, you're looking at a spectrum. On the low end, for a basic single-car setup, you're talking around $8,500. But that can climb all the way up to $35,000 if you're going for a premium double-vehicle structure.
Okay, so what makes one Shadeport 8,500 rands and another 35,000 rands? What are you actually paying for? Well, there are a few key variables that are going to determine where your final quote lands. Let's break them down.
Yeah, this first one is pretty much a no-brainer, right? Size. It is the biggest factor, hands down. The more space you need to cover, the more it's going to cost in materials and labor. So yeah, no surprise here, size is the #1 driver of that initial price.
And check this out, because this is where you can really see how the price scales up. Your standard 3x6 meter single port, that's your entry point. But if you double that to a 6x6 to cover 2 cars, look at that. It more than doubles the price, putting you somewhere in that R18,000 to R22,000 ballpark. And of course, if you've got bigger vehicles or you just want some extra room, you can see the cost bumps up again for that larger 6x9 structure.
Okay, but it's not just about the size. What your Shadeport is actually made of, that has a huge impact. Not just on the price you pay today, but, and this is super important, on how long the thing is actually going to last.
Yeah, and this table just lays it all out perfectly. It's that classic trade-off, right? Galvanized steel, that's your baseline. It's cost-effective and it'll give you a solid 10 to 12 years. Now, for about $2,000 more, you can get it powder-coated. That adds some serious rust resistance and bumps up the lifespan. But then you've got aluminum. That's the top-tier choice. It costs about 40% more, sure, but it will not rust, and it could last you up to 20 years. And hey, don't forget the fabric. Just choosing a premium, tougher fabric can add about 25% to the total cost. And believe it or not, there's even more to think about. Little things that can add up. Like, what kind of foundation do you need? Concrete or steel anchors? Do you live in a really windy area? That might require special specs. Is your property hard to get to for the installers? That can add to the cost. Oh, and if you want a custom color to match your house, expect to pay about 10 to 15% more. And here's an interesting one. Where you live in Joburg actually matters. If you're in the northern suburbs, for example, you might see a premium of up to 15%.
Okay, so we've got a handle on the costs. But how does a Shadeport stack up against the other main option? Let's talk about the traditional solid roof carport.
When you put them side by side like this, the differences really pop. First off, Shadeports are way cheaper to start with, and they go up in just a day or two. A carport can take weeks. But here's the big one for a lot of people. You often don't need to get municipal plans for a Shadeport. Plus, you can actually move it if you sell your house. And because it's fabric, the air flows right through, so it doesn't trap all that heat like a solid roof does.
And really, it all comes down to this, the money. A Shadeport can be, get this, 40 to 60% cheaper than a traditional carport. That is a huge saving, and honestly, for a lot of homeowners, that's the number that makes the decision for them.
All right. We've talked cost, we've done the comparisons. Now let's get into some of those practical, nitty-gritty questions you probably have before you pull the trigger.
Ah, yes, the building plans question. This is a big one, isn't it? The thought of dealing with the municipality, the costs, the paperwork, it can be a total nightmare. But here's the good news when it comes to Shadeports. So here are the basic rules of thumb in Joburg. For a really small structure, something under 10 square meters, you're pretty much in the clear. No plans needed. Now, for your typical single-car Shadeport, which usually falls in that 10 to 20 square meter range, you might just have to notify the building department, which is way easier than submitting full plans. It's really only when you get into those big, oversized structures that you'll usually have to go through the whole formal plan submission process. And that can save you a ton of time and money.
Okay, this is a really important question, especially if you've ever been caught in one of those crazy Johannesburg thunderstorms in the summer. Are these things actually waterproof? Or are you just trading a lower price for a car that still gets wet? Well, the answer really comes down to the fabric. Your standard shade cloth is what we'd call water resistant. It'll definitely repel most of the rain, but it's not, 100% waterproof like a solid roof.
However, you absolutely can upgrade to fully waterproof fabrics. They'll give you complete protection from the rain. And any good installer will also make sure the design has a bit of a slope to it, so the water just runs right off. Look, an investment is only as good as how long it lasts, right? So once you've got this thing installed, how durable is it really? And what do you have to do to take care of it? So remember those materials we talked about? This is where that choice really pays off. A well-built Shadeport is definitely a long-term thing. Even your basic galvanized steel frame is going to give you more than a decade of protection from that harsh high-veld sun. And if you go for the premium aluminum options, you could be looking at 20 years of service. And here's the best part. Taking care of it is so easy. We're talking a gentle clean once a year just to get the dust off, a quick look to make sure the anchors are still tight, and maybe have a professional come give it a once-over every couple of years. That's it. That's all it takes to get the most out of it.
And this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? At the end of the day, most homeowners find that Shadeports just hit that perfect sweet spot. They give you the protection you need from the sun and hail without the massive cost and hassle of building a full garage or carport. It's all about that balance between affordability and just getting the job done.
So it all comes back to you. What's the right balance for your situation? Are you looking for a quick, budget-friendly fix for the next few years, or are you thinking long-term, an investment that's going to protect your car for decades? Now that you know what goes into the cost, you can find the perfect fit for your home and, of course, for your wallet.